This is Frank Islam, Chairman and CEO of FI Investment Group and your host of Washington Current Review, where we interview leading voices from business and politics that impact you, the viewer. Today, our guest is Jennifer Boysko. So Jennifer, good to see you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Frank. It's good to be here.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about yourself. You're a delegate.
Yes.
Delegate of what, and where do you, who do you represent? And what have been your accomplishment, and then I will get to the second question.
Sure. Thank you, Frank. I represent the 86th District in the House of Delegates.
Where is that?
That is Herndon,
okay.
Oak Hill, parts of Chantilly, and Sterling Park. So it's the western Fairfax County and just very eastern Loudoun County.
Okay.
And before I did this, I worked for John Faust, the Drainsville supervisor,
yes,
representing him in my part of the county. And I've used that as a great background to help solve problems in the House of Delegates since I've been elected since 2015.
So what have you accomplished that you deserve to be re-elected for the next term?
Well, I feel really proud of the work that I've done.
Such as?
I have helped pass a number of bills, 16 of them this year.
Wow.
Yes.
Bipartisan support?
Bipartisan support with my colleagues as a co-sponsor. I've also been the chief patron of several bills as well, specifically focusing on issues around mental health primarily, and then local jurisdictional issues as well.
So what's your campaign themes to the viewer who wants to elect you to be, or they want to keep you as a member of the Virginia House Delegates?
Sure. Well, I'm a Democrat. I represent a community that is very diverse. We have about 21% Latin American, 21% Asian American, including Indian Americans, 8% African Americans. So it's a very...
So that's about more than 50%.
It is, right. And it's a very richly diverse community.
Richly diverse.
Very high technology industry, as well as some folks who are really struggling. And I have made an effort to be a voice and to make sure that I'm listening and going out into the community to make sure that I am being accessible to everyone. I believe that being a public servant means that you are in the community, working with your community, helping solve problems, and being the voice for them.
So you want to be the problem solver?
Yes.
You want to make a difference?
That's correct.
You're going to have a strong impact and influence in people's life. You're going to have a positive impact rather than be polarizing and divisive, which is what we have right now.
That's correct.
Correct?
Yeah.
So, there's several issues that the state of Virginia faces, and one of the most important issues that faces about the Medicaid expansion, and under the current what they call the Cassidy-Graham bill, which I do not know that they're going to be passed or not. They have been trying for 7 years and not being. So I have two questions. Number, why do they do what they're doing? They know that 67% Americans favor ACA. They know there's going to be 22 million people, according to CBOs, not going to have any coverage. Right. They know there will be problems with Medicaid. So my question is, why do they do what they're doing? And what do you think the ACA should be passed or should not be passed? Or I'm talking about repealing of it and replacing it. That's what they're trying to do, not repairing it. I'm sure you believe in a bipartisan support so that we can do a little bit better and more cost effective, so that we can provide the health care to all the people who deserve it. So This is what you believe in it.
Yeah, so I supported the ACA, the health care.
American, what's it called?
Health Care Act.
President Obama would tell me
it's called Obamacare, right?
He said, I do care, that's what he said.
Yes. Yeah.
It's the Affordable Care Act.
The Affordable Care Act, I'm a supporter of that. I know that there are some challenges.
And your constituency has benefited from that?
They would, and they would have benefited more had we expanded Medicaid, which is the state-run program. We give over $5 million away in federal taxes that we're paying every day, leaving 400,000 Virginians without care. So one, I'm a strong supporter of the ACA, but I'm also a strong supporter of expanding Medicaid. Now, if we're talking about repealing the ACA, let's think about if we were a technology company and we had a product that had some bugs in it. Would we just scrap the whole would we scrap that, or would we go for, ACA 2.0 and improve it?
Improve it, make it more effective.
Right, and so that's
Repair it.
Repair,
That's
not eliminate.
So why do they do what they're doing it, and how do you tell your colleagues on the other side of the aisle that you are misguided and your views are desperate and distorted?
Yeah, well, it's kind of funny, Frank, because if I have personal conversations with some of my colleagues one-on-one, they know that healthcare is important for their constituents. What they're afraid of, and what I think some partisan members have done, is they have frightened them so much that they're going to get an attack from the right, an opponent from the right.
They also lie, as I understand from the people. And for example, in order for them to win Senator from Maine, which is Senator Collins, Senator Mikulski from Senator Lisa Mikulski, is that her name is? Murkowski from, she's the daughter of Frank Murkowski, correct? They have tailored it in such a way that they can attract those two senators. So it is not targeted for all Americans, targeted for certain individual to win the vote. But how do they go about in telling and stand up and say, I believe what they're doing is right?
That's a good question. I don't agree with what they're doing. I think we need to, our job as public servants is to make the world a better place for our community and use the government as a tool to help empower folks. So I can't answer that question because it's beyond my comprehension.
Is it beyond your paycheck?
It's beyond my paycheck. It's beyond my comprehension. Not only is it an economic strength for us to have a strong healthcare system, but it's also one of a moral imperative. And
obviously, CBO, which is the Congressional Office, has not been able to give their analysis yet, and so I'm sure I don't want to beat this horse again. So let me just move on to the questions that I have about the redistricting, which is gerrymandering, and economy and job and immigration. So the fourth thing I want to talk to you about.
Okay. So where would you like to start?
Or wherever you want to start, Jennifer.
Well, I think it all comes down, if we want to talk about redistricting, I've actually heard more from my constituents about redistricting than any other bill. When we talk about the big partisan fights that we have, it's because we've created districts that appeal to one very specific type of person.
So it's ideological differences.
Yes, and then we don't have to listen to the other side. So I believe that we, members of the House of Delegates or in Congress, should not be choosing our own voters. We need an independent commission to help make fair districts that have a balance where everybody's voice counts. And I serve on the Privileges and Elections Committee. I had a bird's eye view on the debate this past year where we couldn't even get a vote out on it.
It helps them, Jennifer, because the fact is that you have a Republican governor, they can do gerrymandering and they can redistricting and all the elections were local, so as a result of that they win.
Right.
And this is what's happening with the whole U.S. House Representative.
Correct.
They have gerrymandered such a way because 2/3 of the governors are Republican. They're not a Democrat.
I know. Yet, I mean, if we look in Virginia specifically, all 5 of our statewide officials are Democrats, and yet we only have 34 out of 100 members in the House of Delegates who are Democrats.
So you cannot pass anything.
Correct. So we play a lot of defense. We work with Terry McAuliffe, our governor, to stop some really heinous.
Well, he can veto it. That's that.
Correct, and then we get to we support him on that.
So the other question that I had about the economy and job, and the third question was about the immigration.
Sure.
So shed some light on that, bright light on it, if you can.
Sure. On the economy and jobs, I serve on the Broadband Advisory Council, working to expand internet access across the Commonwealth. That's something that I've enjoyed doing because we do want our neighbors downstate to have a thriving economy, because Northern Virginia can't carry the whole load forever, right? We need to make certain that Dulles Airport is a big success, and I was very happy to be on the tarmac the first day that the Air India plane landed.
Yes.
And we also want to make sure that things like our transportation system in our metro works, that we are training people for the 21st century jobs. I don't know if you knew this, but we have more, tens of thousands of jobs.
2 million jobs open, and they cannot be filled because the people don't have the skills, ability, and experience to do that.
So I want to work work with my colleagues across the aisle, as well as Ralph Northam, to make sure that we are training people for those jobs, whether they're in cybersecurity, whether they're in the trades, making sure that we have the skilled workforce that is necessary in the 21st century. And that's my very high priority. And our education system also has to be top rate, and that's where I've really focused a lot of my time and
so
energy.
education, not the higher education, but the community college education, where they can learn the trade, so they become part of the workforce, and education also K through 12.
Correct.
Those are the important aspects as well, because this is when they lay the firm foundation for them to flourish.
Correct. And in our K through 12, I mean, we've really taught our kids how to take a multiple choice test really well. But don't we need to be focusing on problem solving and critical thinking? I know we both agree on that. So I think we have some more work to do, and giving autonomy to the teachers and paying them a good salary as well.
Right. Obviously, the salary to the teachers are not that great.
They're
in
not that
Northern
great.
Virginia.
They're not that great.
And they're teaching the next generations of Americans who are the hope for tomorrow.
Exactly. We want people to be able to.
So what is the argument the other side? Why they're doing? Why we cannot pass in the House or the Senate in Virginia, Commonwealth of Virginia, to make sure the teachers are well taken care of, because they are creating the next generations of the Americans.
That's true. This past year, we had bipartisan support
You did have bipartisan support.
an investment in this past budget for $1 billion for education, which was the most we've done in a number.
Education for the higher education, or
for the K through 12 education.
K through 12 education.
So there had been a steady decline since, I believe, 2009, and we're still not back up to our funding from 2009. We are making slow and steady progress, and you know, the needs are great. I think we focus too much on the testing part and less giving the teachers the creativity in the classroom. So there's some administrative things we can do, making sure that educators have a seat at the table as they're deciding what the policies are, because while I'm a mother of 2 kids who went through school and was on the PTA, I'm not a teacher. So I ask us to listen to
But you admire and appreciate the profession, what they do.
I surely do, and I think they need to have a seat at the table as we're making decisions about what they have to do.
So a lot of people, and Manisha just was here a minute ago and interviewed her, and she focused on inclusive.
Yes.
Part of America. There's a hatred and bigotry, and obviously there are a lot of tweets on that as well. People are concerned, stressed out in some cases.
Yes.
That does not represent the value, the conscience and character of this country. This country remains a shining city upon a hill, as President Ronald Reagan said, or John F. Kennedy said, or John Winthrop said in 1632 when they came to our shore. And they're all immigrant, whether the first generation immigrant or they came here many, many centuries ago. They came here because of the economic mobility, or they escaped the political prosecution. So we have been a welcoming country for many. We are indeed a shining city upon a hill. All the eyes are upon us. So tell us a little bit about what would you do to make sure that we need to protect our borders as well.
Yes, we do.
So the border security is an important aspect. So what do you think to make the society more fairer, more stronger, more just, more tolerant America?
Well, I would think that leadership from the top
has to. Well, unfortunately, it does not. Leadership on the top, as you all know,
doesn't set a very good tone for us.
Does not set the tone, and also I don't know how you tell your children that some people have a foul mouth as well. So obviously that's it. But considering we don't have a trump card here, we don't know how to play those cards yet.
Right.
So we have to figure out what to do.
Yes. So when
you have to figure it out.
That's right. And so, for instance, this summer when the Muslim ban was taking place,
you were there.
I was there. I was there with Terry McAuliffe, with Mark Herring, our Attorney General, with a number of my colleagues saying, hate has no home here, and we are here with you. We stand with you. I spend a lot of time in our immigrant community because I know that there are families who are afraid to send their kids to after-school programs. I have friends who are, bullied in the grocery store sometimes. This is not tolerated. We should not tolerate this. And it's going to take all of us standing together, arm in arm, shoulder to shoulder, standing up to this kind of bullying. The federal government has fallen short of its responsibility for comprehensive immigration reform.
Well, the Senate passed the bill.
But we couldn't get the House to do it. Right. They just
So
stayed.
despite the fact that they're against the ACA, despite the fact they're against the DACA, despite the fact that they're against the DREAM Act, the fact a comprehensive immigration, which immigration is important, they reduced the H-1 visa, which will reduce the GDP by 0.7%. And they still get reelected. So tell me, why is that? Jennifer, do you...
Gerrymandered districts. Let's just go back to...
Is that what it is?
We go back to the gerrymandered district.
So we have a certain individual in our country, the people, the populations, those who are closeted, who believe they're not misguided, they're guided by certain...
They are.
...philosophy and approach.
A point of view that is different than mine, for instance, but it is their point of view. But, yeah, I mean... I had a group of kids in my office from George Mason recently talking about their fears about DACA, and so.
And there's 800,000.
Yeah.
And they're born. It is not their fault they came here. No. They go to school. They're building a job. They're creating a job. They're building our economy. They're doing a lot of good things.
They've had their backgrounds.
Yes.
They're working or they're going to school. They're productive members of our community.
So what makes them do this thing? What's the motivation? It's probably beyond our comprehension. Is that correct?
I think driving a narrative of fear and division is effective.
So it's not a hope; it's a fear, anxiety.
Yes, and I think by doing that, then they don't have to talk about the big issues of economic.
So they're diverting their attention. Is that what they're doing?
That's what I believe. That's what I believe, and I think it's very effective.
So they're good at messaging. Obviously, they're good salespeople.
They are.
They cannot govern, but they can.
But they
get
can
elected.
certainly get a talking point across, right?
Exactly.
So
I want to kind of focus a little bit, Jennifer, in terms of the traffic congestion. You talked a little bit about that. What do you intend to do to reduce the traffic congestion that we have in Northern Virginia?
I'm really fortunate to have a good solid background in local transportation issues because I worked for the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors, where I covered transportation issues for Supervisor John Faust. I worked on the land use and transportation around the proposed Silver Line Metro stations. And one thing that we did, and we need to continue to do, is talk to each other across jurisdictional boundaries. So, for instance, I helped pull together at the staff level and then at the elected officials level groups of meetings where we looked at the big map and we talked across the border. What do we need to do in Fairfax County, Town of Herndon, Loudoun County, with the airport and VDOT to make sure that we're really looking at a comprehensive picture.
Do you believe in the metro has to be extended all the way to the Prince William County? And it'll cost a lot of money, several $100 million.
Yeah, I mean that is so far down the line. I don't know when we'll be able to manage that, but I think any way we can get cars off the road is an effective one. The other thing is multimodal transportation. So the metro, make sure that the metro is functioning and safe and working for everyone, but also bus systems, making sure that we have ride sharing and all sorts of carpooling opportunities, and then things like bike lanes are essential to trying to get people off the road. The second thing is having transit-oriented development where you are putting your development in areas where you can get people off the roads because they're going to get onto the metro, but you're also having housing and work offices as well as commercial around those hubs. Once again, it's an economic engine for the community, but it's also a way to get folks off the road and reducing traffic. And then thirdly, things like telecommuting.
Telecommunicating.
And then again, I'll go back to my Broadband Advisory Council, making sure that the whole Commonwealth has a vibrant economy so everybody doesn't have to move to Northern Virginia, so that people can stay in Southwest Virginia and still be able to work in a successful job.
And put the food on the table.
Yes,
have a
and
roof
put
on their
food
head.
on their yes.
A roof on their head.
I mean, that's what we all care about. We have more in common than
So
not.
if somebody wants to get hold of you, your constituency, people in Northern Virginia, and want to get involved with your re-election campaign, how do they go about doing that?
Well, the easiest way would be...
You have to look at the audience there, Jennifer.
Okay, the easiest way would be to go to my website, www.jenniferboysko, and I'll spell that for you, JenniferBoysko.com. You can reach us there. We have a wonderful field program going on. I am out canvassing every day. I need your help. If you'd like to have a yard sign or just get more involved and learn more about me, I'm also on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and
what about the grassroots in terms of going there and voting? Make sure their voices are heard.
yes, so
That's important, and especially
right.
the millennium.
Yes.
Do you have any message for them?
I do have a message. When the first time that I ran for office, I came this close to winning against a very long-term incumbent. I lost by 32 votes.
Oh my God.
Out of 21,000 votes cast. Your vote really makes a difference. So whether you're in college or working a full-time job and don't have the ability to get to the polls on Election Day, you can go to Fairfax County Government Center and vote early. If you're unable to go in person, you can request an absentee ballot online. But your polls will be open from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. You go to your regular polling place. It's really imperative that we re-elect Mark Herring to the Attorney General seat.
And the governor.
And Ralph Northam to the governor, Justin Fairfax to the lieutenant governor. I very much ask for your vote and ask you to get your friends and neighbors to make sure that they come out and vote as well. I believe, I'm going to be partisan here, I believe the Democrats have the message this year, and I ask you to think very carefully when you go to the polls. There's so much on the table. The votes that we make a difference in your lives every day. There's so much at stake.
Yeah.
Yes.
So thank you very much for your service
Frank,
to our
thank
country,
you.
Jennifer. And do you have any last word?
I just want to say that it's a great honor to serve. That we really, it's an honor to be here.
And you want to continue to serve
I would like to.
your
Absolutely.
constituency, your country, your community.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's my honor.
Well,
Thank you so much, Frank.
You're most welcome. Thank you for coming to our show.
I appreciate it.
And good luck to you.
Thank you.
This is Frank Islam wishing you a great week, and thank you for watching.